Welcome to another episode of Millennials with Matt. This is a program, a couple videos that we shoot just to talk about millennials in the workplace and ways that you might be able to do some tips and tactics that we provide in your workplace, whether you be a millennial or whether you be a person that manages and coaches millennials. So we hope that you find these videos very helpful. Today we want to talk about growth and retention of millennials, a huge topic when we bring up the younger population, the younger professional, and how do we get them to stick in our organizations and grow up with us. So one of the things that I want to talk about today is the idea of a growth lattice. One of the things that we know is that the growth ladder, the rungs that you used to climb as a professional maybe back in the day, doesn't really exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore because of the recession and because there may not be as much money for you to build up, and growing through an organization doesn't go straight up anymore. It kind of goes out, and there's ways to build leadership and competencies not only on your title level going up, but on ways growing up. One of the things that story I tell when I do my presentations around millennials is one of my millennial friends, he kept going back to his manager 6 months on the job and said, hey, I'd really like to sit down and kind of understand my career path in this organization. Would you be willing to sit down with me and build a roadmap for me? And the manager kind of put him off and said, yeah, we'll get to it. Well, he went back again 6 months later and he said, we've talked about this. I'd really like to sit down with you and just understand what are some of the things I need to be working on, what are some of the things I need to be joining or a team I should be on, or how do I build competency around this area so that I can be better suited for this company and kind of chart my path through it. And the manager said, come back again, managers, they get busy, and so they didn't really want to deal with him. Well, around the third or fourth time, that millennial came with his resignation letter and walked across the street to the next job. And that's what we find with a lot of organizations. If we don't take the time to nurture and build those younger millennials and build a career path for them in our organizations, we're going to lose them, and we're going to lose them to the guy next door. So one of the things that we work on developing is a growth lattice. Much like a garden lattice, instead of going straight up like a growth ladder, it actually goes out. And it goes out in a couple different areas. One of the areas is building career opportunities. So you want to sit down with your millennial and really chart out what would it take for you to get, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 5 years down the road. One of the key important things here is that it builds the right belief in both the manager and the millennial. The millennial isn't caught off guard when he doesn't become the CEO in 1 year, and the manager isn't caught off guard when the millennial leaves because he had kind of wrong beliefs about what the job actually required. So this provides a great opportunity to have a conversation about what is the actual timeline for you to build a career here. One of the other things we talk about a lot is sponsorship from managers or even department heads of millennials on teams within the organization. That can either be a team in the department, or you might have an X team that's working on a specific project, or you might even have the softball team. Can you manage the softball team? So getting your millennials out onto cross-functional teams or multifunctional teams is key to retention and growth within your millennial pool within your organization. One of the other things we always want to focus on is training and education. We talked about it in one of our other videos, the competency part of motivation. Well, we've got to continue to provide those opportunities for them to become better trained, better educated, more competent, and smarter on the job. The smarter you are on the job, the more excited you are to show up every single day. One thing that I really like to push home in the growth lattice is volunteerism and those opportunities outside of work. Organizations are strapped for cash and they're strapped for leadership opportunities, and we know that. So one of the key things that you can do is work with your community, work with your Chamber of Commerce, work with your young professional groups in the community, even work with your nonprofits and charities within your community to say, here are leadership opportunities outside of work that I want you to join, and have that conversation with the millennial. So it's not just reliant on the organization to build their leadership capability, but they can build leadership capabilities being on boards or working with the Salvation Army or Habitat for Humanity. They can build their leadership capabilities that way too. So again, that lattice opportunity. The other thing I really push home is mentorship. that a manager, or even a place that the millennial wants to get to in the future, there should be great mentorship going on there and great coaching. But also with mentorship, there can be reverse mentorship. Oftentimes I get asked, what is reverse mentorship? Reverse mentorship is when the millennial teaches older generations. I've seen a bunch of millennials start a neat team or an educational class on how to use your iPhone, or what are the best apps in the iStore, or how do I turn on my iPad. So reverse mentorship can happen both ways. The manager can mentor the young professional on kind of how to build in skill sets that are needed as a leader in the organization, but also the millennial can give great skill sets in technology and kind of the knowledge economy to their managers as well. And that creates a great relationship. It becomes very respectful of one another and each other's talents. One of the last things I always ask managers to look for in their growth lattice with their millennials is the hidden talent. Everybody has hidden talent. One of the questions I always ask is everybody giving 110% at their job? They leave nothing out. They always go home and they're exhausted. Barely anybody ever raises their hand. That means talent is being left off the table. What would that talent look like? Well, maybe some millennials have a rock band that they belong to, but we don't even know that. Or some of them took a computer class in school and they know how to do graphic design, or they know how to do video and podcasting. Maybe they know how to run a marathon, which is all about persistence and mental capability. So we have all these hidden talents that we're not bringing into our team and we're not bringing into our organization. So one of the key things on a growth lattice is finding that hidden talent and then using that to strengthen the millennial. So again, go to my website, www.growingmillennialleadership.com, look up the growth lattice and start to build a growth lattice with your millennial today. Thanks so much for joining me, and tune in next time. Huh? Huh? Who's that guy? All right, all right.